Hey, it's Mazzy here, and this is my progressive video. Not progressive as in politically progressive, although I'm not going to even dive into the deep social, musicological definition of prog music. But this is a video of prog for people who hate prog. Am I one of them? I'd have to think about that. Actually, no, I don't hate prog, but prog to me is one of the great genres of music that's easily to mock. And you'll see why. I'm going to show my version of prog. Now, there's a lot of prog going around right now, a resuscitation, a resurgence, and usually to make the proper prog music video, you have to let it go on for about 3 to 4 hours. I mean, like second only to the Grateful Dead do prog records go on. And you have to have Bill Bruford as a drummer and do everything in syncopation, different time changes, just different elaborate things where it's so fucking complicated, your head just literally explodes. So this is a video. Now, when I do these kind of videos, I did a punk one similar a while back. I didn't limit to a top 10 or a top 25. These are just kind of random, all kinds of prog. Those of you who are into prog are gonna yell out or write down in the comment, that's not fucking prog. This is a prog according to Mazzy. To me, prog is not just 4/5 time to 3/2 time to 1847 time, and not just every band that had Bill Bruford in the band, but it's about conceptually what prog is. Kind of like, the punk videos, where punk is an attitude, progressive is an attitude, where there's a lot going on. Another good, I can talk about this as we go along. Some say Procol Harum might have been the first prog band with Whiter Shade of Pale. Of course, that's a very pop hit and a huge hit. Procol Harum's amongst my favorite bands, but there are 3 standout albums I'm going to showcase here. One is their second album, and this is Shine On Brightly. Incredible record. Of course, it has the long, on side 2, 17-minute plus song, Inheld Twas I, which is a lot of components mixed together. Gary Brooker on vocals, Keith Reed, the lyricist. They had their own lyricist, so that could be a prog-like attribute when you have someone totally separate, maybe even hates music, writing your lyrics for you, writing the poetry. Robin Trower on guitar, Matthew Fisher on that great organ bit. A favorite album of mine, and of course, probably maybe their best album is this one, A Salty Dog. Incredible, epic storytelling. Again, another part of prog is telling stories that people don't give a fuck about long, and just go on meandering through them and getting into the minute details of a fish on a boat falling over into the water and it explodes in Stonehenge, things like that. This is a record that when it came out, I didn't dig it. I didn't get it. Decades later, I got it. Grand Hotel, beautiful record, beautifully produced. B.J. Wilson, their drummer, always was incredible to me. He's got a soulful feel to it, which a lot of prog drummers are really syncopated, 4/4 time, 28/67 timing, like jazz drummers on the beat. But sometimes they miss the soul, in my opinion. So, but he's still in the band here. Keith Reed, again, wrote the words for all the songs, as it says here. Fun record. Again, one record that I got into much later. Different lineup after the original albums. And Robin Trower is no longer in the band here. Now, a band that gets all the accolades, and everybody who is everybody in prog, or anybody who collects prog and knows prog, whether you're a prog fool, a prog nerd, a progtologist, whatever you're into in this kind of music, yes, like literally yes, this album is this album. UK cover, I like it. I know some people don't like it as much as this cover. Now, I got into this album right when it came out. A DJ I knew as a kid sort of played it for me. And of course he played the cover on here of the Beatles, Every Little Thing. So there's definitely a Beatle connection. Of course, they went on and they did some great albums, which I'm not going to show you, but I'm going to show you their overbearing. I think this is like a 17 record set, or at least that, or a 3 record set. Yes songs, that's a whole other thing. This is recorded on tour in 1972 and elongated. That was the problem. I saw Yes, I saw Emma's Lake and Palmer, I saw King Crimson, I saw what are I saw Pink Floyd. Some of these are classic prog, and some of them, like, basically you just like say the word prog in the room with them and they become a prog band. So out of here, right? Yes songs, give me a friggin' break. The first two albums I probably ever got prog was probably Court of the Crimson King and this album. And of course, I got this album not because of a prog song, which I felt it was a prog song, but Lucky Man. It's a very catchy song until Keith Emerson sticks that really irritating high pitch Moog synthesizer in toward the end. We're going, he's kind of oscillating it up and down and back and forth and every which way but loose. Another definition of prog records is when you have a title of a prog song, and then there's like 2, 3, 4, 6 different suites or elements or sections, and you give each fucking musician their own solo. That's the danger of prog. Don't give each fucking musician their own solo. 50 years later, the record sounds like shit. So some of this record is great, some of it is like shit. And of course, the perfect name, this is actually a Canadian pressing I have of Brain Salad Surgery. And the only song I still like to this day on here, I think, is the traditional religious hymn of England, Jerusalem, is on here, I believe. Old Jerusalem, which I wish I could play at the end. I don't know if I can, maybe I can't. But this record, it goes chop, 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 frenetic, 4/4 time to 6/4 time to 42nd, 23rd time, and just whack-a-doodle, right? Now, you can't do a prog video without showing this album, King Crimson, probably the best classic cliche prog album. You all know it. I didn't know for years that it was that great Greg Lake who was the vocalist on this. I love his vocals. It has a lot of shit going on, and of course, we all love Robert Fripp's guitar playing, his Frippatronics and tronics and tonics and all that kind of shit. So I'm going to throw this in here just to throw it in. But in terms of, if you're a prog hater but you want some prog records, get these 3 records, okay? These are the later, this isn't the elongated, suites of 6-part sections of each musician doing their yanking off, wanking off crap. This is Adrian Blue doing great lead guitar and singing, and Robert Fripp, Tony Levin on the stick bass, and oh my God, Bill Bruford's back in the band. Fuck, you can't get rid of Bill Bruford anytime. But these are 80s records that are really great. And in Beat, 3 of a perfect pair, and Discipline. I mean, come on, just the colors alone. You gotta have these all for your collection. But I'm going with these instead of the long-winded prog 16-minute versions of songs with 3-part sections. Now, some say Electrolyte Orchestra is not a prog band. I'm saying they're a prog band for this. And you have to go to this record just because they were very pretentious coming out of being the band Move with Roy Wood and Jeff Lynne. But what a great record cover on United Artists. And of course, it has the great 105-38 overture that Jeff Lynne wrote. Of course, he's singing on it. Fantastic record. They didn't get as commercialized. They didn't start ripping off Motown or other artists. Didn't have quite as a compressed sound as they would later when Jeff Lynne takes on full control. But Electrolyte Orchestra, the debut, I love this. And of course, I'm throwing in this in the mix, their next album, ELO 2. They become ELO. I think Electrolyte Orchestra is better because you can't, if you're getting up and you send your mother to the store when you're sick to buy you an album in the early 70s, she brings home ELP instead of ELO, or ELO instead of ELP, or whatever, and you're fucked. So this record, they finally after their second album, stick a Beethoven record in here. Roll over Beethoven, Chuck Berry, tell Chuck Berry the news, and do a great version of that with Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. The argument, is it space music? Is it space rock? Is it prog? just get a life. Just enjoy the music for what it is. Pink Floyd. Now, I love this record. This is the record before Dark Side of the Moon. It's more song-based than a lot of the records with some moody stuff. The songs don't go on and 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 on forever. This one does, but what's great about it, it's beautiful. It's got echoes, the song I Lost My Virginity to, and it's a wonderful, perfect record, metal, and there you go. So, I mean, Obscured by Clouds from the soundtrack of La Vallée, The Valley, French film, which I didn't see until about the early 90s, I believe. But this is a fantastic record. There's some very catchy tunes on it, but I love it. In 1967, you know, if you're going to do a fucking symphony, get real symphony museums. Fuck the synthesizer, fuck the keyboards, you know, fuck all the fake stuff. So you get a symphony and you produce something as gorgeous as the Moody Blues did on this album. Of course, after that, every friggin' album by the Moody Blues had to be a thematic record. This is the one that counts. It's schmaltzy, it's beautiful, it's orchestrated, and it's got poetry in it at the very beginning and the very end. Breathe deep. Cold-hearted orb that rules the night, removes the colors of our sight, red is gray and yellow white, but we decide which is right and which is an illusion. That's you get kind of like mental masturbation, verbal, just yanking your chain, all this kind of poetry in prog records. You get a little holier than thou, and I think every prog band wishes they went to Cambridge or Harvard or some intellectual thing like that. So, okay. We'll just do this for a while. If I did this for 15 minutes, this would probably be better than most prog records. Jethro Tull, Stand Up. This is the one to get. You know, don't fuck their other shit. This is the one not to get. This is a terrible record. I worked in the record store for Warehouse Records, which was a California chain. And sometimes they'd have me drive my car down from San Francisco to San Mateo, where the distributor was, to pick up records. And they would assign records to each store. I had a Pinto, 1972 Pinto. In the back, I had to pick up 600 copies of Passion Play for one fucking record store, not even a Tower record store, because they pushed it after thick as a brick. But I do have a bunch of these posters, because we really hyped it. It's worth it for the poster alone, right? And the cover is fabulous. I love this cover. Terrible record. Just terrible record. Booklet, inserts, wanker of a record. Terrible record. There you go. All right, you can't talk about prog without talking about Genesis. Now, if you bring in a Genesis record in this house and Phil Collins is the lead singer, it goes out the window, literally. It does. There's two records by Genesis to me are closest to perfect and really good records. And I would say Selling England by the Pound is great. And The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, the double record. And I believe this is the last record with Peter Gabriel. And he was probably smart to leave the group and go on his own. This is the tour I saw. So I did see this tour. I believe I saw him at the Berkeley Community Theater, as I recall. Love this record, but prog, excessive. I think Peter Gabriel's solo records really kind of honed it in a little more, not as out there. But the one thing I will say about Peter Gabriel for the prog video here, I'm sticking this record in. Now, it's Middle Eastern, it's world music, it's the soundtrack to The Passion, Martin Scorsese's movie about Jesus Christ, with Harvey Keitel as, I think, did he play Judas? Yo, Jesus over here, he. I mean, that's not how Harvey Keitel talks, but it was kind of like everyone just did their own accent, and Willem Dafoe is Jesus, and Barbara Hershey is Mary Magdalene, but Music for the Last Temptation of Christ. This is a beautiful, and I'm throwing this in the prog thing just because. Now, what is the prog song that is probably the most twee of all the prog songs ever made, and that was covered by the Carpenters? Think about it. Okay, time's up. Calling occupants of interplanetary Kraftwerk. Nope. Ooh, that was a Freudian. Klaatu Parada Nikto, name taken from the Michael Rennie film of The Day the Earth Stood Still from the 1950s. Of course, Capitol, and I think I have it in here. I have the press kit. Because Capitol tried to hype this whole thing about the Beatles. Is this the Beatles? Is this a secret Beatles project? Is this a Beatles project? Fucking press kit. It's not the fucking Beatles, but this is my promo copy. See, the whole proves it. Now, someone might say, how do you know? You're a liar, you're a Judas, you don't know. But I like this record, and it's a twee Prog-like record because it's conceptual, it tells a story at times, has songs with different chapters or different movements or something. So Klaatu Parada Nikto, Capitol Records. Of course, I got promos of their next two records, which I don't even remember what they sound like. But, you know, Klaatu, I think they're Canadian, is that right? They're not from Liverpool, that's for sure. These two records are, you know, if I say they're Prog, because this is about going into space, leaving Earth, and saving the Earth, and all the hippies going to space. Hippie Prog. Blows Against the Empire, Paul Kantner and Friends, and the Jefferson Starship, but it wasn't the band, the Jefferson Starship. He called this as a side project when the Jefferson Airplane were still together. It's got everyone from Nicky Hopkins, David Crosby, to members of the Jefferson Airplane, members of the Grateful Dead. It's a great record. And also, I'm going to throw in Grace Slick's Manhole. What the fuck? This record is out there with symphonies. And hey, Grace Slick is the Prog queen in my book for this video. One of them. There you go. Not a Prog record, but again, if you look at the title of this video and been paying attention, Prog can be a mindset. I want Prog to be accessible, not to be 47-minute someone humping, a B3 organ with a Leslie speaker on it, and a gong. And you don't have to have a gong in the back of your group. But the 12 Dreams of Dr. Sardonicus by Spirit, of course, it has the radio-friendly hit, Nature's Way of Telling You, in a song. This is a great record. It's kind of psychedelic, kind of, radio-friendly rock. Is it Prog? I'm saying it is, so it's Prog. Same with this album, which is another twee-ish record of sort of barrel house music, and that's The Miraculous Hump Returns. The Miraculous Hump Returns from the Moon. Right there, that's a Prog title if I ever heard one. But this is Sopwith Campbell. This was a 70s reformation of the group, Sopwith Campbell, who in 1966, I believe, had the hit pop single, Hello, Hello. Hello, hello, I like your smile. Won't you have some of my tangerine? This is a Prog record. I say it is. So it is. So it shall be done. I mean, look at that Prog-like cover. Come on. There's a fucking dragon. Dragon and minstrels. How much more Prog do you need from me, kiddos? Okay. I've showed Laurie Anderson a lot around here, and this is a Prog record because it's a 4-record set. That's the only reason it's a Prog record. It's a live performance of her United States of America. Actually, it's 5 records, so it's more Prog than I even thought of. Laurie Anderson's Prog masterpiece, live United States. Prog at its performance art conceptual best. Prog? Yeah, the Queen of Prog. Didn't I say that Grace Slick was the Queen of Prog? Okay, I was wrong. She's not, but Kate Bush, The Dreamin', how Prog, I mean, come on, conceptual, especially, I mean, just the whole thing, and David Gilmour plays on it from Pink Floyd, so that's Prog. Okay, now let's talk about new Prog, new-ish Prog over the last, however long. I think this is an incredible record. This is Now Here Is Nowhere. Now Here Is Nowhere sounds like such a Prog title. And this is Secret Machines, their debut record. incredible record, a trio, power trio. Look at that cover. Look, I mean, think of Pink Floyd's Omagama on the back of it. You know, when you show all their friggin' instruments, you're a prog band. You want to show off that you have like more than one cymbal or a double bass drum. Of course, there's a single bass drum here. That's a big friggin' bass drum. That's like a 30-inch bass drum. Jesus Christ. But you've got speakers and amps, and it's all white, kind of conceptual. I mean, this could be a Yoko Ono album cover, right? Come on. Does that look like Prog? It looks like Prog, and there's so much rock and roll in this, and depth, and First Wave Intact takes up the entire side one. This is 4 sides, and side 4 is one song. No Here Is Nowhere. Fantastic record. This is a 2017 issue. I think this came out in the early 2000s, as I recall. The late 90s, must be the early 2000s. Great record. I think they did 2 records, 3 maybe, and then broke up for a while, so that's it. If you want something a little explosive, Explosions in the Sky, which is a little psychedelic, pop, moody, ambient. This is The Wilderness, Explosions in the Sky. It's Prog because I said it's Prog. Prog can be, you know, bring in music from other countries, bring in ethnic-centric music from other lands. And Dead Can Dance, this is their latest outing. Any Dead Can Dance is a little bit of ambient world music, a lot of Arabic and influences, but a delicious, beautiful record. Of course, when you have, you know, again, every Prog record, if you don't notice, somewhere on there are ancient ruins. Ancient ruins, if they're not on the cover, they're secretly, subliminally put in the lyrics. Ancient ruins like Stonehenge, like Druids. I mean, of course, you could get into metal like that, but this is not about that. So Prog, it's like weird kind of covers that you have to look through and you know, smoke some doobie stuff to know what that is. That sequenced beaded face mask. This is not a new one, but oh, come on. Frank Zappa, Uncle Meat, the soundtrack to the movie that never really happened. It says, most of the music from the Mother's movie of the same name, which we have yet got enough money to finish. Frank Zappa, the Mothers, there's vibes, there's jazz, but it's Prog. It's Zappa's Prog outlining thing as far as I'm concerned. Now, these are 2 albums in a row that are kind of like DJ project type of bands that have moved from psychedelic to electronica to, it's Prog in this case. Caribou, Our Love. And then, was it the Australian guy, I think? Lonerism by Tame Impala. Prog, mix-up, mash-up, all kinds of stuff mixed together. Progressive, I would say, for sure. And this album, overlong, overproduced, overambitious, over-length, too much going on. This is Go to School, or musical, by the Lemon Twigs. I love the Lemon Twigs, these 2 brothers from Long Island, I believe, that are a little bit of mix of Paul McCartney, Wings, Todd Rundgren, Sweet, Big Star, that whole thing. But, you know, this is Prog because it's way too fucking long and it's telling a story and that no one gives a shit about. That's what Prog, that's a perfect definition of what Prog is about. But cool record. Takes a while. I would go check out their last album or their first album before I'd get that one. And then I'm going to end with one that is, you know, some are going to tell me that's not a fucking Prog record, Mazzy. That's a French pop, loungely, bachelor party, electronica music, and that is Dots and Loops by Stereolab. I mean, all their records I just defined sound like that, but it's progressive because there's a lot of shit going on and a lot of stuff that you need to hear about. So that's it for, these are the Prog records that you should get if you fucking hate Prog music. If Prog music just drives you up the wall because there's too many parts, too many pieces, and too much Bill Bruford. Mazzy loves you.